What's happening, people? We're back. Good evening to every single one of you, or good morning or afternoon, of course, where you're listening. And of course, if you're listening on catch up, look, it's another Arsenal show. There isn't much happening in the world of Arsenal in terms of transfers. It's been more about pre-season and the downfall and aftermath of what was a disappointing North London derby friendly. It feels so weird still saying that, but that was the truth. That was what it was. Make sure you do me a favor. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe, because we are literally 1,500 away from 50K, which means that I need you all right now to hit subscribe. Make sure you've liked the video, of course, as well. Like and subscribe are the two things that I need you to do. They're free. And hopefully, before the season, the target is to hit 5-0. Can we do it? We've literally got 15 days to get 1,500 subscribers. Can we do that, people? That is on average 100 subscribers a day. That is going to be a massive task. Massive task. I don't think we can do it, but I do have faith that we can get close with you guys. Please hit like and subscribe now if you haven't done so already. Big up to everyone that's here. Big up to our sponsors tonight, who, of course, are Match Bingo. Make sure you scan that QR code, download the app, and you can credit as little as £5 or as much as you want, and you can get your cards automatically, and it will be ticked off automatically. We've got all the preseason games and, of course, ready for the new season. So please make sure you've got Match Bingo downloaded, because loads of people are winning. So if you want to find an easy way to win, go play Match Bingo, people. Go do it. Look, we're going to talk about Eze tonight. I can't believe what I'm reading, but we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about the likelihood of Eze coming to Arsenal, the madness that is the release clause saga. We're going to talk about how we could be taking a massive risk on Eberechi Eze. We're going to talk about what he would bring to Arsenal, talk about some of the other rumours, and we're going to also talk about this Isak saga, of course, because it is continuing to cause problems and drama. So sit back, kick back, relax. There's over 300 people in here, which means we should have easily 150 likes by now, but we haven't. We've not even got 100. So hit like, hit subscribe. Let's get up to 50K. Mods, do your job. Let's get these people to hit like and subscribe. It's free. Big up to every single one of you that's here locked in. Okay, so before we go anywhere, I want to say a huge thank you to Seven, which is what I'm going to call you, not C7N, Seven, who has gifted a Football's 12th Man membership. Big up to you, my bro. I massively appreciate that. I really do. And I also appreciate the super chat, because this is very kind. It says, of all the gooners, I dislike you the least. Do you know what? I'll say thank you to that, man, because there is a deluded bunch of football fans, and Arsenal do, of course, have a section that are incredibly strange, like everybody does. And I've got to be honest, I massively appreciate that. So thank you so much. You might be one of the only people who does think that I'm an easy listen, but I really appreciate that, man. So thank you very much. So look, we're going to talk about Eberechi Eze. We're going to talk about why I would like Arsenal to sign him, but we're also going to talk about why it's a huge risk at the moment in relation to this release clause. Now, what we do know is that there is a release clause of £68 million that Eberechi Eze has with his deal and contract at Crystal Palace. And we were told over the coming weeks that there was going to be a chance to have installments with it, that it was going to probably be 20, 20, 20, and then add 8 in terms of add-ons. That would make £68 million for his release clause, and he would be an Arsenal player. He wants Arsenal. Arsenal apparently want him. And really and truly, we were going to see how badly Arsenal wanted him with this release clause. Now, Arsenal, for whatever reason, have suggested that they don't believe that he is worth the £68 million release clause, and he's less than that, and they're not willing to go and pay the release clause. That release clause has now expired, it seems. Now, that is a huge risk as far as I'm concerned. If Eberechi Eze's contract has now expired in terms of this release clause, there's no way we can activate this £68 million. So what we are doing is we're taking the massive risk that Eze and Palace are happy to do a deal. And we're taking the huge risk that Eze and Palace are happy to do this deal for a fee that is in the region below the £68 million release clause. Now, they were suggesting that the release clause had to have a £35 million upfront deal. And Arsenal said that was crazy. Now, that does sound a lot, to be fair. But if you want the player and that's the deal, then sometimes you've just got to do it. So a lot of people are saying that this release clause is all false and it doesn't actually expire. There's some unreliable sources saying it's rubbish. There's some reliable sources saying it's expiring tomorrow. Some have said it's expiring today. Let's just take it at face value that he still has a release clause. Just go and release it. Now, there will be some accountants shouting at me, why, what do you know? We could save £5 million and go and put that towards somebody else. If you want the player, go and get him. You ain't going to get Eze for 40 million. You ain't going to get Eze for 50 million. You're going to get Eze for close to 60 to 65 million. That's what you're going to get him for. But now that we're taking a huge risk in relation to this release clause, Crystal Palace could rightly so say, there's no more release clause. Cool. He's 85 now then, please. And we miss out on the deal. Or we end up paying a ridiculous amount for a player that I rate. But do I rate him as highly as 80 or 90 million? I don't think Eze is an 80 or 90 million player. Now, 60 to 65 is roughly what I believe Eze should be worth. If Elanga and Madueke and all that are in the 50s, then Eze's got to easily be in the 60 to 65s because he's better. But this is a big risk. We're risking the fact that Eze wants to come to Arsenal. We're risking the fact that he wouldn't want to go anywhere else. And we're also risking the fact that Palace are actually happy to do business with us beneath the release clause. I don't know why they would. Now, if it's true about this release clause expiring, not only have Arsenal risked the deal falling through, they must be hella confident that Palace are going to play ball here, that Palace are going to be happy to let him go, that Eze says yes to Arsenal and Palace are like, nothing we can do, let him go. Because if he ends up staying or ends up going for 80 or 90, what's actually going on? So I've got to be honest, I'm not really a huge lover of what I'm seeing here. I would rather just get the release clause and get the player in. And I appreciate that everyone said, Gyökeres, what a steal. We got him for this, that, and the third. But we're still trying to get him into the mix because we were trying to get him for that kind of cheaper price. Brilliant business. Don't get me wrong. Eze, we have to be pretty confident, like Gyökeres, that he's going to come whatever. And not only does he want to come, because I think, of course he wants to come. He's an Arsenal boy. He played for us. He's a much better club than Palace. He's got a chance of going for a Premier League title and a Champions League football and going to win that competition. Of course, all of those things will be in his mind. But I've got to be honest with you. We need to make sure that Palace are happy to play ball with us. Give me 2 seconds. God, I put my fan on. It's so hot up here. So we've got to be quite confident that they're willing to play ball here. Now, Crystal Palace aren't easy to deal with. There's been bids apparently for Mateta that have been rejected. The Mark Guehi situation has not been easy. Michael Elise was not easy with Chelsea. In the end, he ended up going, of course, to Bayern Munich. And, I don't think this is going to be as easy as some people are thinking. Look, Adam Wharton has kind of gone quiet now all of a sudden. Yeah, everyone thought he was going to Tottenham and Manchester United were interested. Well, that's gone quiet now. So I've got to be real. I don't think this is going to be as easy as people are making out. I think people see this as, right, Eze, release clause, go get it done. Arsenal aren't interested in playing the release clause. That's just facts. Unfortunately, that's just something that's going to be, us have to accept now. That we ain't going to be going for 68 million. We're not going to be looking at 35 million up front. So I hope Andrea Berta and his team are really confident and happy that we can get this deal done. Look, there's 700 or over 700 of you in the chat. We have not got to 200 likes yet, people. You're moving mad. And let's get this subscribes up because I really want to hit 50k by the side. In 15 days' time, the season starts. And I really want to hit 50,000. I really do. If I wasn't too close to it, I wouldn't really care. Right? But we're on 38,362. Yeah? So please, people, come on. We've got 1,639. Just over 1,600 of you to all hit the subscribe button. Please, I'd really appreciate it if you could. Even if you don't want to watch me ever again, just hit subscribe. Takes 2 seconds. It's free. And then you never have to watch me again. But you're a part of the 50,000. of the community at 12th man. So big up to you. Come on, people. So the Eze stuff. Look, African Gooner is somebody that comes on here a lot, and he's massive on Twitter. He obviously does a lot of work behind the scenes, looking at what's going on with the Arsenal transfer business. And this was shared today through via Ben Jacobs, who I don't know if people believe is particularly reliable. Some people think he's okay. Some people think he's amazing. Some people are not so sure. But I've got to be honest. This is very intriguing. And this is very interesting. So African Gooner tweeted this. Just in from Ben Jacobs. The Arsenal hierarchy believe that a 55 million bid will be sufficient to complete the transfer of Eberechi Eze from Crystal Palace. His release clause expired today. So that's Ben Jacobs saying that there's no longer a release clause for Eze. And they're suggesting that it's £55 million that will be enough. Now, I've got to be honest. 55 million would be an unbelievable bit of business, considering we paid 52 million for Madueke. And I'll say it again. Chelsea, how do they do it? 65 M's for Havertz, 65 M's for Mount, potentially 52. What was it, 52 in the end for Madueke? João Felix, over 35 M's they've got back for him. They sold some kid called Humphreys for about 17 million to Burnley. We gave them Amari Hutchinson. They sold him to Ipswich for £25 million. They do it a lot. They do it a lot. And that's how they continue to keep buying millions of players through amortization. But anyway, that's another story. That's Chelsea. We're the Arsenal. And this deal, 55 M's. What do we think? Is that reasonable for Palace to accept? Because I don't think it's unreasonable for us to offer that. I think it might be a little bit too shy. But I also don't believe that there's, we're taking the mick type thing. And I don't think it's over the top. But do you think Palace are going to be accepting that? If it's true and we're going to prepare a £55 million bid, we're going to use installments with that as well. Are Crystal Palace going to be serious about that? I think they're going to want more. He had a £68 million release clause that has now expired. And some people are using this as, well, good, that's now expired. Now we can get him for 58 million. No. I would say it was probably the other way round. And now that 68 M's is off the mark, they can now say, well, we want 78 or even 80 or 88, whether they can say what they want. And I used this scenario and this analogy earlier with Deluded on his channel, right? Big up to Deluded Gooner every time. I said to him, let's just suggest that it's one of Arsenal's best players. Now, I know he's been terrible this season just gone, but let's just bring up Martin Odegaard as an example, okay? Other than Saliba and Saka and Rice and maybe a couple more names people want to throw at me like Gabriel, etc., he is recognised as one of the mainstays at Arsenal, one of the best players that we have. If he had a release clause of £80 million and nobody was getting close to it, they were saying, we're going to offer you 65, we're going to offer you 70. And then his release clause all of a sudden expired. And somebody said, okay, now he's not got one of 80 million, we'll give you 65. You're going to go, nah, you could have had him for 80, but now the release clause is done. We want 120, please. That's what Eze and Palace are probably going to do now, if this release clause is expired. Now, I could be wrong, and Arsenal could have already agreed to deal with Eze. And Andrea Berta could have been that good that he's like, look, I know it's a 68 M's. We're not going to pay that. He wants to come to us, but we'll give you fair money. There's 55 with add-ons rising to over 65. Maybe that's been accepted. I don't know. I have no idea. But for me, I find it very odd that we've not released the clause if we're serious about the player. Now, I made a comment and said to Deluded earlier that if we don't release the clause and activate the release clause, I don't think we want the player. But it does seem like we do want this guy. And it sounds like his release clause is expired. Now, some people are saying it doesn't expire until the end of the transfer window or end of August or mid of August. And I'm like, who's right and who's wrong here then? Because Ben Jacobs has said it's done and it's expired. There's no more expiry. There's no more release clause, sorry. So I'm finding it difficult, if I'm honest, to understand who's right and who's wrong here. But I think it's moving forward. Let's see what we do know. There's a lot of talk about Eze and Arsenal, and I'm just going to bring up all of these X accounts. Some of them you might find unreliable. Some of them you may follow. Some of them you may never have heard of. But let's look at the general consensus. I've just typed in Eze and Arsenal, and this is the information so far. Fabrizio Romano has suggested that Crystal Palace expect Arsenal to arrive with an official offer for Eze very soon. That was 7 hours ago. So you look at that scenario and you think, expiry date has gone of the release clause. No more clause to activate for a release clause. Bid expected very soon. Arsenal clearly want the player. Palace clearly know that we want him. And Eze clearly wants Arsenal. There's not been any doubt in my mind that Eze wants Arsenal. I don't think he's kicking off and trying to get out of Palace. I don't think there's going to be a transfer request. I don't think we're going to be in that position where we think, well, he needs to now kick off because otherwise we're not going to get him, etc. But I just got to be realistic with you. I think it is very, very clever for Crystal Palace now to just sit there and watch Arsenal. What are you going to do? How much do you want this player? His release clause, you could have released, could have activated it. You didn't. We're not pushovers. How much do you think he's worth? And if we come in with a pitiful bid, like we usually do and have done previously, I'll be disappointed. But now Andrea Berta's here, I'm hoping that we can actually get some form of reality and have a reality check and say, look, we probably should be offering 60 M's over for Eze. There's no way, and I don't mind starting with 55 million, if I'm honest. I don't think that's a mad thing. But I do think if we go in with these installments of like 55 million and we'll pay you 10 million over 5 years, I think they're going to get pissed off. So we've got to be very careful about how we do this. And I think that's something that Andrea Berta provides me with a little bit more of reassurance about. Because when Declan Rice was wanted by Arsenal and Arsenal wanted Rice and Rice wanted Arsenal, it took way too long to sort out negotiations. Some of that was on West Ham's side. Some of it was on Arsenal's. The Gyökeres situation, some of that was on your Sporting side. Some of it was on Arsenal's. But we got it done. Let's try and get this done. This would be a phenomenal signing, people. We'll come into why in a minute. So that's one thing from Fabrizio Romano. Ben Jacobs, this one's very interesting. Arsenal see Eze as a number 10 and not a left winger. Now, that is very interesting. Let me tell you why. One, I agree. I don't think he's a left winger, although I think at the moment he can probably do a better job than Martinelli because he's having a bit of a bad start to pre-season. But I do feel that we might go all out for a left winger as well as a number 10. Now, I could be wrong. It could be wrong. I think what they're suggesting there is that Arsenal going for Eze does not mean we will no longer get a left winger. I think they're hinting that Arsenal are after two. And we're going to look at what that might look like in a bit. So it's a massive risk. I don't know what we're doing. Release him. Get the clause sorted. We can't now. So what we're going to do? Well, we're going to have to try to get this player and do some negotiating with Palace to see how badly he wants Arsenal. Now, we're hoping and praying that Eze's talks with the camp that we had a few weeks back now was very promising. And Eze's like, look, I'll go AWOL if I have to. I'm going to come play for Arsenal. I want you. And we're now having to deal with Crystal Palace and what that might look like. That's what I hope it is. So Ben Jacobs has said that Arsenal see Eze as a number 10 and not a left winger. And that one's really interesting for me. I've got to be honest. And then we looked further down. And it's suggesting the other player that we now want is Anthony Gordon. We have distanced ourselves from the Rodrigo race, which is worrying because Liverpool are linked with him. Chelsea are linked with him. Man City are linked with him. We are focusing on the English targets, Eberechi Eze and Anthony Gordon. Now, I've got to be honest with you. If we do go there and we have that as the next target, I wouldn't be against Anthony Gordon, but he wouldn't be my first choice. Newcastle with the saga that's going on there, which we'll come on to in a bit, I don't think they're going to want to sell him as well as Isak. And if Isak stays, which I bloody pray that I hope that he does, but I don't think he will, they're not going to want Gordon as God as well. I don't think Madueke is going to be the left winger. I really don't. I think he's going to be back up for Saga, and I think he'll play a few games. Ethan Nwaneri and Max Dowman are still there. Ødegaard is in the attacking 10 role. Eze would be cover for that and play some of them games. Could play left wing as well. Madueke could play left wing as well. But if I'm honest with you, I think they're coming in with a couple of versatile players. I still think we're going to be going in for Eze and an elite winger. I didn't believe it would be that, but it's sounding like the reports are suggesting that we've got the money once we do sell some players to go out and get two more players. And that's going to be the player they want in Eze and the left winger. Now, Anthony Gordon is a very good player. Very good player. But I don't feel like he is the one to take us to the next level. He's better than Martinelli on his day. Martinelli on his day is very good, but I think Anthony Gordon showed in the last 2 years he's more consistent and he's scoring more goals and he's been in and around. But I don't think he had a very good season at Newcastle. I might be wrong. Sophie's in the chat. She'll tell you. I don't think Anthony Gordon was great last season. Pete said he was awful and Harvey Barnes was better than him. So I don't think it's a great move, if I'm honest. But I do like him. I wouldn't be against it. I don't think he's awful. I don't think he's brilliant, but I don't think he's awful. So, look, I've got to be honest. I think it would be maybe some kind of loose rumors, should I say, when I see him linked. But we'll have to see, man. We'll have to see how much of this is serious. So, look, it's going to be an interesting scenario on this left-hand side. We clearly need, and we know we need, a player who's going to show some kind of quality on that left-hand side. My kind of problem is I don't know who that is after Rodrigo. I just don't know who that is. So a lot of people talking about Rafael Leao. A lot of people talking about Morgan Rogers today. The problem with Morgan Rogers is I do feel that Morgan Rogers and Eze are quite similar. That they play in the attacking 10. They can kind of go over to the left. I just don't know if I see us getting Morgan Rogers and Eze. So, I don't know, man. Lookman's been one, but I do think Lookman's pretty much decided on his next club. I think it's looking like he's going to stay over in Italy. I think Napoli were linked. Inter Milan were linked. So, I don't know, man. I'm not sure. But if we're going down the English route, I don't mind it. We've got young English lads coming through. Ethan Wanieri, obviously, Max Dowman. You've got Eze. That we're linked with, Gordon, that we're linked with, Rogers, that we're linked with. Madueke's been signed on top of Saka, Rice, Lewis-Skelly. So we've got some English talent that we need to be looking at, right? But I don't know about this left wing position. I just don't. I'm just not set on it yet. I think there's Rodrigo and then maybe Rafael Leao. But Rafael Leao is 1 minute he's brilliant, next minute he disappears. I need this left winger to be levels on what we've got. And Martinelli and Trossard are struggling. I've got to be honest. They're struggling with it. So, look, that's the way I see it. It does sound like Martinelli is staying. If you believe what you read, Trossard is the guy that's going. Martinelli is the guy that's staying. That's from Ben Jacobs today. So, I've got to be honest. Yeah, I don't feel like it's anywhere near done yet. I think there's a lot of players that are linked with us now. So let's see. But sticking with the Eze to Arsenal thing, 55 M's we spoke about. Here we go. Eze should not be signed if the idea is for him to be the main left winger. He won't solve the issues there. If he's signed to play in midfield to provide dynamism and ball carrier, then absolutely. Arsenal need a creative spark and life in the middle. He needs to be the creative midfielder and a left winger on top of it. I totally agree with that. Here we go. Addressing almost all of the required needs. We need that level raiser on the left. Eze, Leao, Rodrigo all increase our technical level. It's essential that we power up in attack. And that's what I mean. At the moment, we're being linked with left wingers and Eze, not Eze on the left. And that's what I like. Now, there's a lot of people that want to see Eze on the left. But Martinelli and Eze, I still don't know, is good enough to go on blitz teams. I don't know that Gordon is good enough to blitz teams. I don't know if Rogers on the left is good enough to blitz teams. Rafael Leao in glimpses, I love him. And in glimpses, I don't see him. It has to be Rodrigo. It has to be. And with the links of Isak to Liverpool today, if they get him, we need to get Eze and Rodrigo. Like, we need to. There's absolutely no other excuse. Because otherwise we'll be left behind. And, you know, look, whether you believe in this manager or you don't believe in this manager, I need to have a team that is good enough on paper to go and win. Otherwise, if you say, don't like this manager, he needs to go and win the league, but Liverpool and City are better than us, and we come third, hang on a minute. You said we were going to come third. So the manager's done what you thought he would. So we've got to remain consistent here. I want the team to be good enough so I can say, wow, this team, it should win the title. It should win a trophy. If it doesn't, the manager wasn't good enough to get it across the line. That's where I stand. That's why I would have removed him last season from post. He's here. He's staying. Cronkies are the problem. But we've got to now go and win the league. And he needs to now be backed. And at the moment, if he isn't, then, we know the problem. And it's the Cronkies. If he is, like we believe he's going to be, then it's all on Mikel Arteta. And it's quite simple. It really is quite simple. Let's do a couple of these super chats, man. Big up to Jibsy, absolute legend, man. Thanks so much for this super chat. That's really kind of you, bro. Thank you so much, man. I really do appreciate that. This one's coming from Jibsy. He says, Dan, it's 5 years to the day, 1,826 days and counting since Arsenal last won a trophy. Yet people are more concerned with you moaning and being negative on your match reaction yesterday. Dan, as things stand, will Arsenal be in a top 4 battle and win a trophy? Do you know what? I'm going to answer this next one as well, because this is from you, Jibsy, as well. Absolute legend with these super chats, man. Thank you so much, bro. I really appreciate it. Says, Dan, how Arsenal going to get enough funds to get Eze, Rodrigo and win the Premier League or Champions League? Saka needs to be rotated. Gabriel and Timber have got big injuries too. Can Arteta protect his players this season like Maresca does? Okay, let's answer this one first, and I'll come back to the other one. I don't think that Arsenal need to sell to get enough funds. I'm being told quite confidently that Arsenal had no problem with PSR because we haven't bloody spent for the best part of a couple of windows, have we? Yeah. The summer was a mess. We spent about 70 million. We spent nothing in January. We've lost players that are on big wages. We're selling players. I don't think we have to worry. But I think we will sell players, and I think that it will give us a chance of going for somebody big again. So I think Gyökeres, Zubimendi, and one more. Like we all thought, we're probably bringing 3 big players and then a few squad players. Well, the squad players have been bought. Kepa, Mosquera, Norgard, Madueke. They're coming to be squad players. I don't care what people say. Madueke's not starting on the left. He might in a couple of games, but he's not going to be on left winger. And if he is, I don't know what Arteta's doing, right? So I think we're bringing in a left winger as well, an attacking midfielder as well, as what we've seen already, and Gyökeres and Zubimendi being added to that. So I think that's what we're going to be doing. In terms of the injuries, I do have concerns. Saka doesn't look 100% still. Gabriel obviously still injured. Timber's not kicked a ball in pre-season. We've obviously got Calafiori and Trossard that have gone down also, and Jesus hasn't come back from his injury either. So that means there's 5 players that haven't actually kicked a ball yet. That's what I'll say. So I've got to be honest with you. It does surprise me. It does concern me. As for your other super chat, and I'll bring it back up. As things stand, will Arsenal be in a top 4 battle and win a trophy? So as it stands, if we buy nobody else, Arsenal will be in a title race, but we will not get a title. It will be similar to what it was last season. We'll come 2nd or 3rd again, and we'll probably go to around March and fall off. Then I think trophy-wise, we have a great chance because we are a team that should be good enough to win a trophy. That's where I am at if things stand. And that is why I believe Mikel Arteta should be put under pressure to win a trophy. Not the trophy, the Premier League or the Champions League. Don't tell me that that's the Champions League you've got to win. We've never won it. It'd be incredibly harsh to say I would sack Mikel Arteta if he doesn't win that Champions League. Well, nobody has. Wenger couldn't do it. George Graham couldn't do it. Emery couldn't do it. We've had managers that couldn't do it. So I've got to be honest. For me, I'm in a situation where I need him to win a trophy. That's where I'm at. But big up to you, Gypsy. I think that we're in a top 4 race potentially if we don't do any more business. But I think as things stand, we're probably just about enough. Because what is a top 4 race? It's if you're not in a title race. And like I say, I think we'll drop off potentially. So that's where I'm at. But big up, man. I really appreciate that, Gypsy. Thanks so much for the super chats, man. You're a legend. Thank you so much. Okay. So what else do we know at the moment? We obviously know that we want Eberechi Eze. We all know and have spoken about why it's important that we get this guy. And I wanted to go into a little bit about where I think he should play and what I think he should do attributes-wise. Eze, for me, is a baller. Eze's Premier League proven and he's turned up in big games and all this kind of stuff, yes. But actually, technically, he's gifted. And I think the biggest struggle in pre-season again so far has been trying to shut down low blocks. When Newcastle did it, we were struggling. Tottenham did it for the whole of 90 minutes. We struggled. And when AC Milan wanted to do it, we struggled. So we need a player that is not Martin Odegaard, that is going to allow us to be creative and try something different. And I'm not talking about flicks over the defense, lobs over the defenders. I'm talking about the creative spark and flair that Eze has brought to Crystal Palace, where he gets on the ball, he drives forward and he makes things happen. Little 1-2s, intuitive passes, vision, weight of pass, a kind of area of space that I think he is really good at getting into. That's why people say he can play on the left. He actually isn't a winger, but he is coming on the left and cutting inside. That's different to playing on the left and just hugging the byline, which is what people want him, our left winger to do. I think Eze can be brilliant, and I think he can unlock defenses. He's done it for Palace. He's turned up in big games. He scored against us. He scored against City in the cup final. He scored in the semi-final against Forest. I think he's a very, very good player. Very good player. So I've got to be honest. He's one that I believe can come in and do very well. Now, if I'm honest with you, I think Arteta might need to change his system, not just his style of play. We all know he needs to change his style of play. There's no point us continuing to play this football, which is possession-based, put out wide, deliveries into the box for someone to get their bonds onto it. I'm sick and tired of that. We need to be more intricate. We need to be more quicker. We need to be more flair, creativity. We need to be better on the counter-attack. I'm getting frustrated, if I'm honest, by watching the same rubbish. And that is becoming a real dross situation, if I'm honest. So that was last season's team. When we add Zubimendi, when we add Gyökeres, and hopefully we add another 2 into the first 11, I think it would be a very, very different Arsenal, because it has to be. But if Mikel Arteta plays the same way, it's not going to be different. It's not going to matter if we have Kylian Mbappe or Haaland up there. So I want to see a change of style. I actually would play a different formation. Now, hear me out here. I'm not talking about going 3 at the back or something mad like that. I'm talking about this following team. Raya in goal, Timber at right back, Lewis-Skelly at left back. We've got Saliba and Gabriel when they're back fit as our defensive pair. Don't think we need to touch that 5 at the moment. People have had question marks over Lewis-Skelly, but I actually do believe he's the best we've got right now. Then we move into midfield. I would do this. I'd have Rice and Zubimendi as the double pivot and Eze in the 10. Yes, that does mean that Martin Odegaard gets dropped. He's not going to do this, by the way, because he's our captain. But this is what I would do. And then the front 3 would be Rodrigo, Saka, Gyökeres. I think that is an unbelievable side. And Odegaard can come in and we can change things. And we can put Rice into the 6. We can put Odegaard into the 8 and Eze into the 10. We can bring Ethan on into the 10. Dauman might get some minutes. Madueke might get some minutes. Martinelli might get some minutes. Havertz might come on and get some minutes. This is squad depth. This is how we do this. So I know that people don't want Odegaard dropped, but I personally can't see much more of him. It's becoming a bit of a disaster, if I'm honest. So that's why I want Eze. Eze can also, if we look at it realistically, Mikel Arteta might be in a position where Zubimendi goes 6, Rice goes 8, Odegaard goes 10, and then Eze can either start on the left or come on for Martinelli on the left or come on for Odegaard. That's not a problem, but there will be games he needs to start because I prefer Eze to Odegaard. I do. I think he's got more about his game and I think he's more decisive. I think he's got intent to shoot. I think he's actually got as much creativity and spark, if not more, when it comes to vision and passes. So I've got to be honest, when I look at his goals and assists, I think he's better than Odegaard. I think he is. Let me try and prove it. Let's look at Eze's stats, In the last 2 seasons, 3 seasons, Eze has got, let me count this up, 14, 18, 29, 37, 45. So remember that. Eze's got 45 goals and assists in the last 3 seasons. 45. Odegaard, for Arsenal, in the last 3 seasons, has got 22, 32, 40, has got 48. So he's got 3 more goals and assists. And one of those seasons was when he got 50. Let me check it. Let me get it right. 15 goals on one of those seasons. So Eze, playing for Crystal Palace, has got 3 less GA in the last 3 years than Ødegaard at Arsenal. This is what I mean. And when I was being told that he's not good enough and he's not anywhere near the level and all this stuff that some people are saying, I'm like, really? This guy's been quality. This guy's been absolutely quality. So I was expecting Ødegaard to have levels on Eze because he's our captain. He's been fantastic for us in the last couple of seasons. He's been unbelievable and all this kind of team of the season and all this kind of stuff. And I look at it and I think Eze at Palace is 3 behind him in terms of goals and assists, that is. I think Eze would be a brilliant signing. I've got to be honest. So that's where I'm at, man. That's where I'm at. And I like Ødegaard. I've tried to defend him. I've tried to do my best. I don't think I've done a very good job of late because I've kind of started to give up on him. He's proving me to be wrong and proving me to be right about him when I first said he wasn't great. So there we go. So that's the way it is. But yeah, okay, sweet. That's Eze. That's why I believe we need him. Let's move on to what else is in the news at the moment. Because Arsenal, let's be real, it's got a bit quiet. And I appreciate this pre-season. I get it. I appreciate people were talking about Spurs. I had enough talking about that yesterday. Let me tell you that, man. Oh, Jesus. Okay. So, what's going on in the world of Arsenal at the moment? Let's take a look now. Right, okay. Before we do this, people, there's 1.3k in here, yeah? And we need to get the subscribers and the likes up. So hit the like button if you haven't done so already. We've only got 325. There's over 1,000 of you that haven't hit like, which is free. It's a free button. I never understand it. Just hit like. It's really simple, man. Please. I'd really appreciate it. And at the moment, we're on 48,390. I need 10 of you to hit subscribe to get to 48,400. Please. Yeah? And if you could, all at the moment, hit subscribe, we'll get very close to 50k. Like, it's moving. We hit 48 yesterday. We're already on 390 today. If we can get to 400 and something overnight, or if we can get to 500, 48,500 by the morning, we'll be on our way. Then we're only 1,500 away from getting the big 5-0. 50k. Guys, it's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Just 4 more people to hit subscribe and we've hit 48,400. If we can get 104 of you to hit subscribe, we will hit 48,500. Can I get 104 people to just hit subscribe? It's free. I'm not taking any money from you. Hit like and subscribe, please. It'd be amazing if we can get that. So thank you so much. I really do appreciate every single one of you. Let's see where we're at now. Likes-wise, we're nowhere near enough, by the way. We've got 400 likes. Let's get it up to, I'll tell you what, let's be realistic. Let's get it up to 700 likes. Okay. And let's see if we can hit 48,500. We've hit 48,400 now. Thank you so much. Let's see if we can get to 48,500 because then we will just have 1,500 to get to the big 5-0. So big up to every single one of you. Thank you so much. Okay, let's take a look at the Arsenal news. We all know. Oh, okay, this is interesting. Sambi Lukonga, what's happening here? Sambi Lukonga on Instagram has put, I want to see what happens if I don't give up. That's interesting. What's happening there? Only the path travelled. He's not played any minutes whatsoever, Sambi Lukonga. We need to get rid of him and we need to sell him. And I think as well, when you look at it, there's been no minutes for him, but there's been no interest in him. Like, he's been on loan at Luton. He's been on loan at Palace. He's been on loan at Seville. None of them have wanted him. I feel for him. I don't think he's that bad. He's certainly not Arsenal level. But could he go and do a job at Leeds or Burnley or Sunderland? Probably. But they don't seem to want him. It's mad. Absolutely mad. Ben Jacobs, we all spoke about this earlier, but for those that are just joining, apparently Arsenal have already communicated to Palace they don't want to trigger Eze's release clause now. They might need an outgoing first, but the expectation is still that they'll bid in this window and it will be lower than the release clause. That is absolutely mad. It really is. Pepe signed on this day a few years ago. Kanu, what a legend he was. Do you know what? 49 today. That makes me feel really old, by the way, because I'm 37 and I remember watching him. He was one of my absolute favorite players when he first came. He was one of the most skillful players I've seen individually. And for all you old school gooners, how underrated was Kanu? I know we had Henri. I know we had Bergkamp. I know we had Ian Wright and Anelka at the time when he signed. But I look at it, yeah, and I look at Kanu, and I thought he was individually one of the most technically gifted I've ever seen at Arsenal. I thought he was one of the most underrated. I thought he was outstanding. I'm a massive fan of Kanu. I really am. And some of the best goals I see from him. I remember scoring a hat-trick in 10 minutes at Stamford Bridge to win 3-2 when we were 2-0 down. I remember him flicking the ball over the head of Luke Young at Tottenham and putting it into the bottom corner when we beat Spurs. I remember the unbelievable goal he scored from Ray Parlour and Lee Dixon down the right-hand side, crossed the ball in, and he just flicked it into the bottom corner. I just absolutely love Kanu, man. Just absolutely loved him. So, yeah, for you youngsters out there, just YouTube Kanu. How good he was, man. And he couldn't get into our invincible side, yeah, or our first side in 2000, 2002, 2004. He couldn't get in it. He was backing up Henri and Bergkamp. And people keep asking me about why we need a squad. Well, what happens if he doesn't get in? What happens if about him? What happens? How does he play? How does he play? Yeah, mate, no one cared about Edu and Gilberto, and no one cared about Parlour, and no one cared about Reyes and Fabregas and Van Persie and Flamini and Cardew and Wiltord. None of those were playing. They were all squad players. And guess what we did? Won trophies. Okay, this time 5 years ago, we won the FA Cup. Obviously, Aubameyang's goal, which, to be fair, was class. There's also a lot of stuff on people returning. So just thankful to be back training with the team, Jurriën Timber. Let's talk about Jurriën Timber quickly, actually, here, because a lot of people have been saying to me that Ben White deserves to be played ahead of Jurriën Timber because they've seen enough in the last few games. Are we mad? Jurriën Timber was our best player last season for me. He was easily player of the season. I just don't understand. Like, I like Ben White. I've got love for Ben White. But how can in 2 games you believe Ben White can be better? Like, come on, man. Like, just, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Arteta said on Trossard's injury that he felt a little tweak. He thinks he tried to turn and he was pushed and he felt something muscular. We'll have to assess him. Look, even if he's out for a bit, I don't think it's going to keep him out of any form of medical. I think that Trossard will be off somewhere, whether it's Saudi, whether it's Italy, whether it's Germany. I think Dortmund have been interested. I think it's time to cut our losses with Trossard and say that with 1 year left at the age of 30, he's not going to sign a new deal. Let's try and get some sort of money for him. I don't think it'll be any more than 20 or 25 million. So let's just say fair play to him and see what happens there. Let's see what happens with this super chat. Farham says, Liverpool offered Newcastle 120 million and we're here dilly-dallying. We're not a serious club. We never were. Even with Eze, we still need a proper winger. I agree. We're going to come on to the Isak thing to close, but I must say that I do look at Liverpool and I think, wow, we've got in, a player that we're hoping is Eze. They've got Wirtz. We're hoping that Gyökeres is going to be better than Isak, but Isak's going to Liverpool. They've got Kirkes, and we're still looking at left backs, thinking is Lewis-Skelly the one that we need. They've got Frimpong, who I think is a downgrade on Trent, but they've brought in somebody who's very similar in terms of attributes. They've done the business, man. Ekatike's coming as well to replace Luis Diaz. And I think they're winning the transfer market at the moment. So let's see what happens there. Okay, that's Trossard. Obviously, there's rumours of injuries, worries of injuries, but apparently he was asked if there's any doubts about Gabriel and Calafiori being ready for the start of the season along with Timber. He said, I don't think there is. If they evolve like they've evolved in the last few days, Gabriel, Calafiori and Timber, the 3 of them will be available. He's, of course, talking about the season start against Old Trafford, Manchester United at Old Trafford. I don't think I want to see all 3 of them start, but certainly Gabriel and Timber need to be in that team. That's for sure. So I hope at the Emirates Cup games now, we start to see them and they're ready. Thomas Frank talked about Norgard. He said that he's 31 now. He's been coaching him for 12 years. It's the first time he's played against him. Strange to see him in the other team. Top player, and he understands why Arsenal went for him. I think Norgard, right? I've got to be honest. I think Norgard is going to be a player that comes in and just provides squad depth. A lot of people say that they think he's going to play more games than you think. I don't. I don't particularly like him on the ball. I think off the ball, he's okay. But on the ball, I'm not too sure that I'm a huge fan, if I'm honest. But look, I wasn't expecting him to be. I don't think he's as good a footballer as Jorginho or Partey. But I do think that Norgard's come in to be cover. He's like El Neni for me. He's come in to do a job. That's it. Not an exciting signing, but he's one that's had to come through the door. Arteta was also asked on Gyökeres and Mosquera. He says, I think they're going to add a lot of value. It was a short one, but when they play against Villarreal, I'm sure it'll be different. Look, I've got to be honest with you. I'll talk about both these players. Gyökeres, I'll touch on quickly, because I do believe personally that it was a bit harsh, people saying, oh, he hardly touched the ball. Well, didn't he particularly have much service? He was on for 15 minutes. So let's calm down on that one. What I will say is this. Mosquera impressed me. Now, I know it wasn't, oh my God, this guy looks like Saliba, or oh my God, I've never seen anything like him. However, he came on, he started his game when he came on really comfortably, but he grew in confidence on the ball. His passing ability was excellent. He was very good at keeping the ball moving. I was quite impressed with his physical attributes that I saw, and the fact that he just looked like a centre-half. He looked comfortable. He had intent to do one thing, and that was to keep things simple. And as far as debuts go, and what I can only judge on a few minutes, I was quite impressed, guys. I've got to be honest. It looked good. So let's see where he's at, this season, and how much game time he gets. Now, obviously, we've got Villarreal. We're going to have to look and see at what happens with that game. But I'd be looking at now, the team that I want to be playing against Manchester United, I'd be looking at starting the Villarreal game and, of course, the Athletic Club Bilbao game. That's what I'd do. Now, I would definitely switch people around. I wouldn't play that for the whole games. But for me, the team that I want to see start against Manchester United is Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Lewis-Skelly, Zubimendi, Rice, Odegaard, Saka, Martinelli, and Gyökeres. That's what I want to be seeing going into the Manchester United game. So that's what I'll be doing. And you can bring on Havertz if you want to. You can bring on Ethan. You can bring on Max Dowman. You can bring on Marino. You can look at playing, perhaps Ben White if Timber's not fit, and bring on Timber to get him minutes. Mosquera likewise for Gabriel. Kivior and Calafiori if you have to. Zinchenko if you really must. But for me, it has to be that 11 that starts in the next two games. That's the one I want to be seeing. Because I've got to be honest, I'm not confident that that's the team we're going to be starting against Manchester United. I'm really not. And that's the team that I want to be seeing. I'm excited to see Gyökeres for the next two games. And I'm excited to see him starting. I watched his interview actually today. He's so cold. He's so Scandinavian. He just reminds me, I don't know if there's any Formula One fans. All Scandinavians are just ice cold. They're just cool. They're just chilled. And I looked at Kimi Räikkönen at Formula One, and he was like that. And he just kind of reminds me of that. It's just like no emotion, just chill. Yeah, I'm here to win, man. I'm here to score goals. And then they asked him right at the end, are you going to be fit for the start of the season? Yes. That was it. Are you going to be ready for the start of the season? Yes. And they ended it on that. And I thought, yeah, that I like that. That's what I want to be hearing. Just straight to the point. No BS, no waffle. It was class, man. So yeah, good stuff. Okay. How are we doing on likes, people? Mods, how are we doing? Have we hit 500 likes yet? No. Let's get it up to 600. Come on, I think you can do that. How are we doing on subs? Let's see if we got it up to 48,500 yet. 48,409. So come on. Let's do this. 91 of you to hit subscribe. 91 of you to hit subscribe. It's free. Like and subscribe. 91 of you, and we get to 48,500. Come on, people. I know I believe in you guys. Let's do this. Okay. Let's look at the saga of Alexander Isak. And I know Newcastle fans don't want to hear this, but it kind of is linked to Arsenal, because Arsenal wanted him. Arsenal were told, see you later, ain't going to happen. Newcastle fans hated us. Now they hate Liverpool. It's mad, really, because they really did hate Arsenal big time. And now we're the nice people because we've got Gyökeres. Now they hate on Liverpool. But this is a really strange situation. I don't want to go on this too much because I'm even bored of this saga now. I know Newcastle and Liverpool fans are. I actually am bored of this now. And I'll be honest with you. I think he probably will end up going to Liverpool, but Liverpool have to put the money in. They can't try and haggle this one down. They're going to be able to get Isak for 90 million. They're going to want a mad amount of money. It's going to be like 150 million before Newcastle are going to actually budge. And I'm talking about that with add-ons, by the way. I think there'll be like 120 plus some add-ons to take it to a crazy amount before Newcastle are interested in it. Now, Isak's been a bit of a nightmare to Newcastle, if I'm honest. I can appreciate why Newcastle fans don't like him because he's gone AWOL. He's gone to train with Real Sociedad. He says, I want Liverpool. I want out. Like, he could have just been quite okay about this. He could have said, look, I really fancy Liverpool. If they bid for me, would you let me go? Not, oh, well, you want me to stay. Well, I'm going to force a move. It's not great, if I'm honest. It's not a great look, to be fair. But there is news from Ben Jacobs in relation to Isak and Liverpool, and we might as well share it. We've seen most of it today. We've seen most of the saga. We've been speaking to each other about it on WhatsApp groups and God knows what. And of course, Ben Jacobs has reported today that Liverpool have no plans, as it stands, to bid again for Isak this window. The nature of Newcastle's rebuttal means that Liverpool will not follow up with a second offer. It's regarded as futile unless Newcastle change their stance and contact Liverpool. The offer rejected was 110 million. The terms with Isak are not a problem. So look, Isak wants Liverpool. That's quite clear because he's got AWOL. Liverpool want Isak. Newcastle have said, here's a price. And Liverpool have said, here's 110. So I genuinely do think that Liverpool have said, go away unless you've got this much money. Now, that's me guessing. I don't know if that's the case, right? And Liverpool have gone in with 110 million. They know that's not going to get accepted. So why have they bid that? I understand there's a starting point, but you know it's 120 million because that was what was touted. And that's what's been touted for God knows how long. And they've tried to undercut that, it seems. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. It's very, very strange. I don't know. I don't really get it. So look, 120 million for Isak. I've got to be honest with you. I can understand why Newcastle is saying, give me 250 million or bugger off. I get that because they're hurting and they're bitter and they're annoyed that he's going to be going. But let's be realistic. Alexander Isak is not worth more than Kylian Mbappe. Let's just say how it is, right? He's a quality striker, but I do not understand. Why Liverpool have I think Liverpool and Newcastle, to be fair, have both looked at this scenario and it's a saga that's going to go on forever. And do you know what's going to happen? He ain't going to be ready for the season. He ain't going to be ready for the season for Liverpool. He's going to have to do this pre-season in August when everyone's playing football, competitively. Isak's got to get match fitness and he ain't had it. So Newcastle could end up being all right here. They can say, do you know what? 150, take him. They're going to take a few more weeks. Then they'll get him. He won't be ready. It will take him a few games alongside Wirtz to get excited, get understanding and gel. And hopefully Liverpool will start the season losing a few games. And of course, it's hopium here, but that's what I'm hoping. But Newcastle, I've got to be honest, and big up to Soph and big up to all the guys that are in the chat. What a shambles. I mean, it has been a disaster, hasn't it? Absolute nightmare of a window for them. And you know, I like Newcastle. A lot of people accuse me of being a secret Newcastle fan and all this. No, I'm not. I like the city. I like the club. I like the fan base. I like the ground. I think they've got a passionate fans base who have been let down by Ashley and Bruce and all these guys. But it has been a shambles from Newcastle. Every player they've been linked with has rejected them, other than Aaron Ramsdale and Elanga. Every player they've gone in for has decided to go to Chelsea or Man City or Wolves or Tottenham or whoever it be. And the players they're linked with don't excite me. I'm not looking at them going, I'll tell you what, Newcastle are right in the race here. And I just thought I was going to be, obviously I overrated Newcastle. I'll hold my hands up now for everybody had my, went mental at me all the time. I agree, perhaps I looked at Newcastle in a different light. But I genuinely thought they were going to be in the mix with Liverpool, Arsenal and City. And I thought they could, with a few more signings, have gone until around about February, March and been a real problem. That isn't going to happen now because they've lost their best player. And if I'm honest with you, unless they spend very wisely in the next 2 weeks, I actually believe they could be dropping out the top 6 if this continues because I think Isak is so important for them. I really do. And I think that Newcastle, I hope they don't. I like Newcastle. But I think Spurs are going to be back up there and hard to beat. I think, Aston Villa have managed to keep their players at the moment, albeit not really bought anybody. Newcastle have lost their best player and haven't really bought anybody. But they ain't getting nowhere near Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool and City, in my opinion now. I think that top 4 will be set in stone. I just don't know what order it will be. So that's where I'm at with it, people. I've got to be honest. It's a mad thing. It's a mad thing what's happening. And I hope for Liverpool and Newcastle's sake that it gets sorted out quickly, but I'm not too confident that it will. But look, man, we're going to leave it there. I've spoken about enough. Eze's been mentioned. We've obviously spoken about other things as well and what's happening at Arsenal at the moment. I'll be back tomorrow and across the weekend with more stuff. Let me see who's live that I can send you over to at the moment. LB is live. Let's go see what LB's doing. Let's go see what LB's saying. And do you know what? When you raid him, ask him who Man City are getting, because I have absolutely no idea what's happening at Man City. They have got absolutely nobody since they had started so well with Cherky and Reinders and all that kind of stuff. I have no idea who they're looking at getting now. And I like their window so far, but defensively, man, they've got problems. They have got problems. I'm sorry, they have. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. Go show him some love. I'm redirecting you over there. Hit like and subscribe, people, because at the moment, we are very close to 50K. And to be exact, we're at 48420. I need 80 people to hit subscribe to get to 48,500. And then we're only 1,500 away from 50K, which is incredibly exciting. So big up to everyone that's in the house. Big up to everyone that's hit like and subscribe. Big up to all the moderators. Thank you so much for all of your super chats. I really appreciate all of them. Farham, the Gunner, and of course, Jibsy. And I will see you on the next one. Go show LB some love and raid Dan Potts raid, 12th man raid, and ask him who City is signing. We'll see you on the next one. Laters.